Welcome to the Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins. The numbers are in for the biggest shopping weekend of the year, and it looks like Microsoft may have walked away victorious. Adobe released its annual online Black Friday spending report, accounting for nearly 80% of all sales that happened over the internet. The report reveals that consumers dropped over $8 billion from Black Friday through Cyber Monday, with Cyber Monday representing almost $3.4 billion of that all by itself, setting a record for the biggest online shopping day of all time. According to the report, the Xbox One was the top gaming device throughout the weekend, beating out the PS4, Wii U, and 3DS. But that victory didn't last too long for Microsoft, because Adobe also states that PS4 is the best-selling console throughout the month of November overall. PlayStation 4 also beat out Xbox One on Cyber Monday. But hey, you made a good effort there, Xbox. Better luck next year on Scorpio, and in the end, we all have more consoles, so we all kind of win. Now, we've talked about Black Friday winners, so naturally we've got to talk about Black Friday losers too. Thanks to poor sales from the holiday weekend on VR headsets, analyst firm SuperData is now lowering their 2016 forecast on VR sales again. They've dropped PlayStation VR projections from 2 million to 750,000 after already dropping Oculus Rift and Vive down to 335,000 and 450,000 respectively. Considering VR revenue was supposedly going to top $162 billion by 2020, with $5 billion of that coming this year, SuperData says that makes VR 2016's, quote, biggest loser. Ouch. The firm has also listed a variety of reasons that might have caused the downturn, especially for PlayStation VR, which they expected to do triple the amount of sales over the next month or so. Mainly, they blame Sony's lack of marketing, as most of their focus has been on the PlayStation 4 Pro for Black Friday rather than their new headset. Now, this week has been a big one for gamers, dutifully waiting for the release of Final Fantasy 15, but it may not be all roses for PlayStation 4 Pro owners hoping to get some significant upgrades. Digital Foundries released new reports about the PS4, PS4 Pro, and Xbox One versions of the game, finding that in some instances, the PS4 Pro version was the poorest performer of the bunch. This problem is mostly due to a frame pacing problem on the PS4 versions of the game, which is more notable for some reason on the PlayStation 4 Pro, causing the game to look choppy even when holding at 30 frames per second. The Xbox One version, while running at the lowest resolution of all three at 900p, also happens to run the smoothest. That adds yet another title to the list of games that seem to be performing worse on PS4 Pro over the base PS4. The list so far includes Skyrim, Deus Ex, The Last of Us, and several others. However, Final Fantasy 15 is getting a PS4 Pro update relatively soon to bring a 60 FPS frame rate, so maybe that update will fix the issues we're seeing here. Entirely possible. And hopeful. I mean, you spend a lot of money on a new extra powerful console, you want it to do good things. Now, if you love reality TV, human drama, eSports, and Halo 5 all together, someone might have actually made the perfect show for you. 343 Industries and Pilgrim Media announced yesterday that they're working together to bring a Halo 5 eSports reality TV show to the airwaves. Pilgrim Media might not be a household name, but they have worked on other reality TV series like American Chopper, Wicked Tuna, and The Ultimate Fighter. The Halo 5 eSports show is also the first in a series expected from Pilgrim Media, who's partnered with both Lionsgate and ESL to produce a range of esports-related content for television audiences. We don't have a ton of details about what to expect from the show. They haven't even signed a proper deal with the network yet, but we do know that 343 plans to unveil a bit more at the upcoming Halo Championship Series Pro League Finals later this month. Just saying, I know a couple of people here who know a thing or two about making Halo content. Give us a call. Hardcore fans are upset about Dead Rising 4 throwing out just about everything they loved about the franchise, and now Capcom Vancouver is finally responding, only it might not be in a way that fans will particularly appreciate. In a new interview with GamesIndustry.biz, studio head Joe Nichols and executive producer Bryce Cochran had some choice words for internet critics. When the duo were asked about how they felt about the criticism over throwing out some of the series' staples like time limits and campaign co-op, Cochran said what everyone assumed all along. It was about making more money and selling more copies. Quote, "One of our goals is to really make a product that means we can make Dead Rising 5, 6, 7 that involves expanding and changing the franchise, and therefore sometimes we need to take risks." They then brought out that overused Steve Jobs quote, "People don't know what they want until you show it to them." They concluded by saying the best way to tell if they made the right decision was to simply play the game. So if you think you might hate it, buy it anyway, play it, then figure out if you hate it or not. Seems legit. Now, if you thought the hype for Star Wars Rogue One wasn't fully armed and operational just yet, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that because it doesn't feel like the hype engines are running quite at max. I mean, we don't have drones on sets or anything like that. Think again. The new anthology film is actually on pace for a record-breaking debut. With early ticket sales starting officially this week, Variety reports that Rogue One has already seen the second highest first day of pre-sales in domestic box office history. If you're curious about what movie is the current record holder, you won't have to wander too far. It's episode 7, The Force Awakens. At the moment, Rogue One is on pace for a relatively huge opening weekend of $130 million domestically in the US, ranking it among the top handful of opening weekends for the entire year. If those numbers hold true, it could also fuel Disney to a historic year at the box office in general, pushing it past $7 billion to set an industry record. Now, we know there's no way Rogue One will come close to The Force Awakens in terms of overall lifetime performance, but the Force could be stronger with this film than any of us ever imagined. Okay, that was cheesy. Musical fans who happen to love epic fantasy got quite the shocking announcement this week because Hamilton creator and Moana soundtrack composer Lin-Manuel Miranda will now be at the helm of the adaptations of the best-selling Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. We've known for some time that adaptations of the hugely popular fantasy novels were in the works, with a planned multi-pronged approach that includes films, a TV series, and video games all at the same time, but adding a high-profile name like Miranda to the project certainly gives it some additional clout. For those who don't know, the Kingkiller Chronicles focus on Kvothe, a young musical genius who turns into one of the world's most talented, dangerous, and powerful wizards. Also, he might have killed the king. That part's still up in the air. It's been 5 years and counting since the last proper entry in the series. He's probably been hanging out with George R.R. Martin, so get ready to gear up and embark on yet another unfinished fantasy epic that may not ever end. Good news for binge watchers though, if you do like things to be able to watch all at once, you can finally take all that binge watching offline thanks to a new update from Netflix. The company announced this week that you can now download Netflix titles to watch later. They detailed the much requested feature in a brand new blog post. The only content available for download at the moment is Orange is the New Black, Narcos, and The Crown, but even more content is on the way. The new feature is included in all plans and available for phones and tablets on Android and iOS, so now you can Netflix and chill anywhere you want, like on planes, or any place where internet's too expensive, because why not? Now, what do you guys think of all the stories in today's roundup? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, to get more news from every corner of the internet, like this video and subscribe to The Know. Do you think it's, I always pronounce it as Kvothe.
I was gonna ask, because on the thing, there's like a thing where it's pronounced like Kvothe.
Really? Kvothe?
Q-U-O-T-H-E.
Like Kvothe the Raven.
Yes.
Interesting.
I feel like I remember that.
You know when you just like read something and there's no audio guide and it's